Thanks. So before we begin tonight, I just wanted to acknowledge something in a very sad moment, and I'm sure that in the meeting of the 25th we'll recognize him, but it wouldn't be appropriate to start this board meeting without mentioning the loss of a dear friend, colleague, mentor, community servant, and just a great man, Robert DiFrancesco. I think yesterday when we heard the news, we were all saddened as a school community about Bobby D's passing. And I think if all you have to do is say the name Bobby D and everybody knows who you're talking about. So it's with great and humble sorrow that we remember him tonight, and we think about him, and we most importantly think about his family, Sheila, Sister Ann, and the whole family, as we will get a chance to celebrate the life of really one of the great educators in Niagara Falls. So, Bobby, we're thinking about you. We appreciate you. To his good friends, I know Jimmy, Russ, Angelo, people that have worked with him long time. Our sympathy and prayers, our sympathy, and to all of us. You know, just anecdotally, in 2000, I was a high school administrator for the first time. I had no clue about what it was like to be a high school administrator. And I shared an office suite with Bobby, and he showed me the ropes. And I'm forever grateful to that for him. And you know what? When you were with Bobby, you always had a heck of a lot of fun, too. Always a lot of fun. So it's with that heaviness that I wanted to acknowledge his passing and say you will never be forgotten. And we'll have a chance to celebrate his life in the coming week or so. But it wouldn't be appropriate to start an educational meeting without mentioning one of the great educators of all time, and that's Bob DiFrancesco. So rest in peace, Robert. We will miss you very much. So this evening we have just two tasks. We're going to have the very exciting task of going through 37 NSBA resolutions. It's Becky's favorite evening. And we're going to talk about how we're going to do this. We need you to be, we have our scorekeeper, Judy Glasser is our scorekeeper. After we go through these proposals, we will go through an agenda review. At 7 o'clock, we'll stop. We have one item to vote on, and that is to change the meeting from Thursday the 26th to the 25th. And there's no need for an executive session this evening. We will then, hopefully, I have 6 comments. If we have time, I'll make them before 7 o'clock, and then we will retire to our safety of our homes and the enjoyment of our families and hopefully a Bills win. So you know the task. NSBA has an annual conference. 650 school districts are asked to weigh in on these 37 proposals. What we've done and what we've learned over the years is to not let you know NSBA's position. Just give us your position as the board members in Niagara Falls. You support it or you don't. We're going to have Becky smartly and swiftly go through this. If you need feedback or want feedback or clarification, Becky has researched them. There are a couple that deal with, I would say, human resources, where Maria might be a resource. There are many that deal with finance, that Becky could be a resource. There are a few that deal with curriculum, that Rick could be a resource if you have that. If not, we'll just move through them quickly, okay? Without any further ado, I'm not sure what ado is. Does anybody know what ado is? What's ado? Ado is what? Oh, without any further fodder or fuss, go ahead, Becky.
Okay, good evening.
Our linguist, thank you, scorekeeper and linguist.
Very good, yes.
Good evening, and to help us go through these resolutions, Judy put together a great presentation that only shows the actual resolution. I can't get it.
Yeah, Thursday, October 10th at 4 o'clock.
So our next meeting, you have to pick one.
Right.
No, okay. So you all received the book with the resolutions, the detail, and the rationale behind them. So right now we're just going to show you the titles, and we can elaborate a little bit if we need to. But the first resolution, the first three actually are active and sunsetting this year. So they would like to resolve that the NISBA support the full restoration of state and local tax deductibility. And that is a deductible, if you itemize on federal taxes, you can deduct what you pay in state and local taxes, but right now there's a cap on there of $10,000 of deductible income or taxes that you've paid. So that sunsets, and they're advocating for it to go back to the full amount. Okay, next is that the School Board Association support legislative action in the regulation of vape products, including consumption, manufacturing, distribution, and advertisement.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, number 3, resolve that NISBA take leadership role in encouraging school boards to develop successful strategies for integrating respect for differences into the educational experience. In carrying out this mission, NISBA shall encourage school boards to ensure the importance of acceptance of others, invite discussion among students, parents, staff, and the community about how hatred and bigotry endanger the pluralistic and diversity principles for which our nation stands, and involve students, parents, staff, and the community in developing educational practices that invite understanding. Okay.
Thank you.
Number 4, resolve that NISBA work with the State Education Department Educational Conference Board and its supportive members to call on the New York State Legislature to improve Tier 6 in the current retirement systems for school employees, and that we seek support in legislation to establish tier equity for tiers 5 and 6 to be more aligned with tiers 1 through 4. Does anyone know what?
I can't wait. Go ahead. I'm not saying it. Go ahead, Russ. Go ahead, Russ.
Well,
Yeah, that's what he's going to say.
is the rich pensions, this was a way people contribute to cut the cost.
Correct.
I can support this, but I think this is another expense to a district that should be considered in the value of the job. Because right now, tier 6, people are contributing throughout their career, am I correct?
Yes.
And by dropping that, obviously, after so many years, I will support it, but my caution is when valuing that job, it should be considered.
Okay. Anyone else?
Hi, Brad.
You just got appointed to 4 committees.
Any?
Okay.
What do you guys think? Mr. Bilson?
Well, I think, and Maria, you could jump in on this too. I think that, Russ, you make good points. I think leveling it out, we're also looking at maintaining the pool of teachers, right? You know, it's difficult. We're doing well, but it's difficult to maintain that pool of teachers, and I think that's a little bit of the thinking in support of it as well. Maintaining the pool of teachers.
Yeah, no, I'm going to disagree with that because they're going to be a pool if it's all the same pension, they're not going anywhere.
No, I guess my thought was
Makes their job
to
more
attract,
valuable.
it was to attract them. And I don't know how many people, I would hope everybody thinks about that when they get into the job, but that would be my only counter. Maria, do you have a comment or no?
I know that there's a couple of reasons why
Microphone.
we would support reducing time. One thing that could help us is, remember, when they're up around 60 to 63, they're also at step 17 at the salary schedule. So when you're talking about folks being able to retire a little bit early, we're retiring people at a lower salary step. So not only does it benefit the individual who's retiring, but it benefits the district in negotiations because you're negotiating with people coming in at lower salary steps. So that's another reason to support having people who can retire between 55 and 63 because you don't have people at step 17 for so long because they can't retire.
That's a good point.
I'm for it.
I appreciate that, but I also see that other districts are just putting the teapot in front of the coffee cup, and they're taking our good teachers because of residency, and that's got to be noted.
What's that got to do with this?
Well, because they left, and they take everything with them, and now they're working at the same salary that we are paying them here. BOCES adopted that salary, which they never paid anybody that
But that's
salary.
got nothing to do with the pension. They all have the same pension.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
Not by
so-
percentages.
What are you talking about?
How about state
BOCES
pension?
pension isn't as much as ours.
Well, it's not as much because his wages are not as much.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
it's the same pension.
That's what I'm saying to you. They're taking our teachers and bringing them at 90,000 when the teachers from BOCES, most of them are making 47 and 48. So you're not going to just keep them as attractive. I don't know. Go ahead. Let it
So
go.
I just, real quick, for me, especially for all of these, I think we do our best. I mean, I'll speak for myself, not for everybody else, but I think we do our best to read through this stuff when you provide it to us prior. But sometimes with a situation like this, it's always good to get your opinion, Maria, and I appreciate that, and Mark, yours as well.
Thank you.
So for me, I'll say a yes. That I'll go
Okay.
with it.
Are we good on
say
number
yes?
4? Okay.
Very yes. Mr. Kiseni?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's a yes, okay.
Okay.
Next.
So number 5, resolve that NISBA support legislation that would increase the BOCES career and tech aidable salary cap by connecting aid more closely with the actual cost of providing the services. Right now, salary cap is at $30,000. So we get aid in our BOCES participation. So if we're in a service that we're paying to participate in based on someone's salary, we pay to participate based on maybe a $70,000 salary, but we are only being aided on $30,000. There's a cap.
I'm encouraging your support of this because we have many services and people that we pay more than $30,000 for. And right now, our aid return stops there. And we're losing money. When it was set at $30,000, I don't know what, in 1992, those wages in 1992 were set, and now it is 2024. A $30,000 cap would be $65,789.
I say
That's
yes.
why I would ask your support.
I say yes. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you. Number 6, resolve that the New York State School Boards Association support legislation to eliminate the limit on BOCES district superintendent compensation. Superintendent salaries are capped right now.
BOCES superintendent
Yes,
salaries are
BOCES
capped.
superintendent salaries.
Eliminate the cap.
Correct.
Who sets the cap? The state or
The state,
All right, sure.
what's supposed to be superintendent, right?
between $217,000 and $277,000.
What's the can anybody educate me on the reason for the cap currently?
Because they haven't had a raise in almost 7 years.
No, I'm asking, what is if I'm understanding if I'm understanding this correctly, there currently is a cap,
Yeah.
and the resolution's looking
Yeah.
to remove the cap. What I'm asking is, does anybody have any information for me personally of why there was a cap to
Yeah.
begin with?
My best guess, Mr. Bilson, and I don't know this to be factual because it's a good question, my best guess is that the component districts have to pay for that salary. So in some places, if you paid your BOCES superintendent $400,000, it would be part of your budget, Wheatfield's budget, Lewiston's budget, so they try to cap it so as not to put a burden on everybody else's budget. That's my best assumption there. But that cap has been in place for a long time.
Sounds like sounds like sound reasoning.
What's the cap? Is it 277, Mark?
It's 277, 277,975. There are, God, how many BOCES are there?
13.
14? I think 14 across the
14
state.
BOCES
Across the state,
Right.
across the state.
So you're
Yeah.
thinking of, BOCES superintendents downstate.
In Long Island and that. So they tried to support the component districts and not have somebody run up a big, I think it was all set for downstate, by the way. Not have somebody run up a big salary and then the component districts were hurting for money. So they set a cap.
So
I'm a no.
It is a good salary.
I'm
so
no.
you don't support this
I
one?
don't support
Okay.
it, personally.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
That's a no then.
Nope.
Interestingly, neither does NISBA. Just so we're not telling you, because you know how confusing it gets when we used to tell you? The New York State school boards do not support it either. Just interesting, right? Or is that the DEI? Go
The
ahead.
DEI.
DEI, go ahead.
That's okay. Number 7, NISBA supports legislation to amend the current civil service system to modernize exam materials and increase the frequency of exam administration.
I would just, Maria, do you have an opinion on this? Because you deal with civil service.
Please support this resolution. That's my opinion. Please
Why?
support it.
Why?
Because what happens is we're allowed to keep provisional employees in the positions until the exams are offered. Once the exams are offered and then the canvas is completed, we could have a provisional employee who's been in a position for upwards of 5-6 years,
Right.
and then they're not qualified to keep that position, and we're putting a good employee out on the street unless we're able to find another position for them. So the sooner we have established lists, the better it is for us to be able to keep and train very good employees. So we really need to support that.
Yeah, okay. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks. 8?
Number 8, resolve that NISBA support legislation of the state that would provide for sufficient funding through building aid for the construction of a new school that would replace one or more outdated and antiquated schools. And this one might be a little confusing. Rich and I spoke about every building has a maximum cost allowance associated with it, and the building aid for a new school is based on that same maximum cost allowance. This resolution, they want NISBA to support legislation that would make building a new structure similar to using 6 projects worth of maximum cost allowance. So you would technically be aided on the total construction of a new building, whereas now it's not guaranteed that you would be because of what is available. I would support it.
We're not going to be building any new schools, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Yes.
yes.
It's not a bad thing.
Okay.
This is out of Syracuse. They want to build a new school, and they can't get the same funding as if they were using upgrades.
Yes.
So it's,
Because they're saying over 6 years, they've
Right.
had spent so much in renovations that if they
Right.
could build a new school for
Right.
that
And they
money.
can make it more energy efficient and all that other
yeah,
stuff.
right.
Okay, number 9, that NISBA advocates for timely decisions on school aid.
Yes.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, 10, that NISBA support hybrid electric buses as an alternative option to the New York State 100% zero-emission electric school bus fleet mandate by 2035.
Wow. 35.
No, for me.
Yeah, this is asking that NISBA support resolution that allows for districts to use hybrid electric buses and not 100% zero-emission buses to reach that mandate.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a middle ground solution. You know, I think you know my position on the electric buses too fast. But this is a middling of that mandate by 2035. Middling meaning hybrid would suffice, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know, okay?
Okay,
I think I would like to see an amendment to drop to 2035.
So would I.
that was floated out there already, and
Yeah.
that didn't grow any legs, but hopefully it will again.
So that we can't make an amendment. We can't,
Oh, you mean,
No.
you
No.
make an amendment?
Deadline for districts to submit amendments, I believe, is already
Yes.
passed.
okay, then I would say yes then, everybody?
Yeah.
Yay?
But I agree with you, Russ.
Okay. Number 11, resolve that NYSBA urged the governor of New York State, the New York State Legislature, and the New York State Education Department to prioritize the human resources, processes, and programs that will ensure school districts can receive necessary building permits within 6 months of submission of a capital improvement plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Easy one.
We've been pretty lucky with that.
Okay. Number 12,
It has, 12.
resolve that, excuse me, NYSBA support funding for technology and related expenses for smartphone regulation policies, whether they're pursued by districts voluntarily or mandated by the state.
No, thank you. 13.
13, NYSBA support legislation at the state level that would allow school districts whose pre-K programs are oversubscribed to show enrollment preference for students who are economically disadvantaged and/or are English language learners until such time as the program becomes truly universal. Right now, it's by a lottery. If they have more applications than slots, they have to put the names in a lottery to determine.
Thoughts?
No, this is saying that school districts be allowed to choose which students attend, are given preference for those slots based on economic disadvantage or English language learner status.
I think they should make the slots. Vote no on this?
So what we're saying that,
So we're saying that the lottery stays. Okay. No, that's so far what I'm hearing. I'm not saying we're there yet.
Mark, any thoughts?
It doesn't really impact us because we find a seat for everybody. Now, you're right, we find a seat for everybody. The only thing sometimes we're not able to do is find a seat in the school of the parent's first choice. That's the only problem we run into. But we'll always find a seat for anybody. And in Niagara Falls, if you don't want to have a seat here, we find a seat in Head Start for you. So it doesn't really impact us. So it's a decision to be made whether you think the lottery is a good way to do it as it is, or give preference to low socioeconomic and ELL students first.
I think I'm gonna vote yes. This is my perspective.
Thanks.
I mean, if people.
2 noes over
if
here.
Other districts have disadvantaged children that might lose out due to a lottery to those that could find other opportunities elsewhere due to their financial advantages. I think you have to think about that. So, but I would yes.
There are programs in place to take care of those kids, though, right? So if they don't get pre-K, there's other places to go.
Well, Mark said here that's the case, but
Yeah.
like in this particular situation, this is from Gilderland School Board. I don't know where are they located.
I don't know,
I'm not
downstate?
sure.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure, Bill. It's your,
It's an interesting one.
it'd have no impact on us, but it's your preference. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
It has no impact until it does here. It might have an impact here.
Okay, so we have Brad, you want to keep the lottery? I agree, I would keep the lottery.
Yeah, I'll keep,
Because then who's disadvantaged, who's not?
take care of our kids.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we got a yay,
Keep the lottery system.
Keep the lottery, keep the lottery,
Keep the lottery.
keep the lottery. You're in,
yay to the resolution and no to keep the language. That's the question you're asking, right?
Yes, so you support the resolution.
I don't know.
okay, so the resolution is
Opposed.
to keep the lottery or dump the lottery? The vote is keep the lottery.
The resolution is to allow schools to give preference to students who are economically disadvantaged
Okay.
or.
Our vote,
So-
our vote.
so
if I-
Mr.
if
Bilson's
I correct-
voting yes
correct
on
me
the
If
resolution.
I'm
I'm gonna
wrong.
ask you guys right now.
Right, so we want to keep the lottery, so
It's
you
an,
write
it's
it
a
out.
no, it's an oppose.
Collectively, it's a
Okay.
Next one?
14, resolve that NISBA shall advocate for direct funding assistance to school districts for any students who enter a BOCES Career and Tech program or any affiliated career training program that results in a post-graduation license or certificate.
I would ask your consideration on support. We have a lot of kids getting, like, my example would be OSHA cards. It'd be nice to get those things BOCES aidable. It's just not, we're lucky because we've got some good partners, but it's not just BOCES programs. I consider that a license or a certificate. Right?
Yes.
yes.
Yes, everybody? Okay.
Okay. 15, NISBA shall advocate for New York Swim's initiative to be extended and expanded to include additional enhanced and targeted state funding specifically dedicated to constructing pools in K-12 schools, and for increased aid for operating, maintenance, and staffing costs associated with these facilities. This enhanced funding should be built into the building aid formula and promote equitable and year-round access to swimming instruction for all students.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. 16, NISBA supports legislation at the state level to allow school districts to provide an opt-out declination to transportation services.
I know. Right now, if a parent doesn't want to have their child take a bus, we say, okay. We say, okay. We don't hold them back, just so you know.
Why would we?
So you would support this?
You'd support this.
Yeah, why, if they want to drive them to school.
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
Let me ask you just.
yes, there are.
Are there reasons, are there financial reasons for a school district to say, no, you can't opt out? As an example, if they have a contract with the bus company and multiple people opt out, is there some sort of, like, otherwise I can't think of a reason why they would say no, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's liability. I don't know if somebody was sued because their parent took a car and they didn't take the bus or something like that. I think I think that is, because we get aid on transportation up to about 90%.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah, I
really,
can't think why anyone would care.
it was weird. Becky and I read this and we're like, well, we do this all the time,
I
just
know.
so you know. Just so you know, if Mr. Bilson doesn't want a bus, we're not going to force him to do it.
Okay.
Right? And
17 is resolved that NISBA advocate for the State Education Department to review and revise the NICES slot exam criteria to ensure a realistic, fair, and accurate annual assessment of each student's English language proficiency and service needs, eliminate double testing, and ensure exam administration causes minimal disruption to delivery of services to students. That's a mouthful. That's an exam that's given to determine an English language learner's proficiency in the language when they enter this district. Is that one no, that's to see how they've grown during the year. And I believe it's given 4 times a year. That one's
when they
only
come in.
once.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Rick. You want to comment, Rick? So for everyone's edification, these are for our new English learners, our ESL program.
I'm not sure what's behind this, but the NASA slot is an annual assessment that's given to students that are English language learners, and the results determine both their progress and then, by virtue of measuring their progress, how much support they need in the coming year. So there are 5 levels of proficiency, and depending on which level the student is at, that determines how many minutes of service and support they need from an ENL teacher and what form that takes. It is a lengthy assessment. It has multiple parts, speaking and listening, as well as written and reading communication. So I've never heard that we've had issues administering it or that it is a burden. So I'm not sure what's behind this.
They could, some areas have quite a few new English as new language learners. I think they're feeling that it's a lot, and then they're tested in other ways, and it's a lot of testing for a child possibly new to the country, new to the environment. And I support it because it's to lift some of the burden off of that child. So I think anything that we could do to reform and cut back on testing and increase teaching and not over-test kids is a positive thing. I support it.
Yeah, and I also think this resolution is just asking for them to review the tests
Yeah.
and determine that they're really measuring growth in English language proficiency and not focused on content.
Right.
So I think it's a good resolution.
We feel it's a good resolution.
Yay, everybody?
Thanks.
Okay.
18?
And 18 is resolved that NSBA advocate that the State Education Department refrain from administering the NICETEL. This is the other test I was referring to. Sorry, I mixed them up. And NICESLOT exams in the computer-based format until those tests have been properly vetted and field tested to support that the computer-based format is appropriate, beneficial, valid, and reliable.
So everybody has to be computer tested now, Rick? Is that? Every district has to test their kids 3 through 8 on a computer. This is asking to allow those ENL students to not have to use 2 executive functions that are struggling to not only figure out the answer, but to have to use a computer, which they may not have been exposed to. And the district doesn't have any option. They've got to do it on the computer. I don't think this is a bad resolution either. I think this only can help kids, especially those that are struggling with a new language. Any problem with that? Thanks. Okay.
Okay. 19, resolve that NSBA will advocate for any publicly funded study of the foundation aid formula performed by any organization to be required to be performed with transparency and meaningful public engagement. And the superintendent advocated for that in his one interview in the news.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Okay, 20, resolve that NSBA will advocate for additional state and/or federal funding for the education of English language learner students in a manner that meaningfully reflects the increased costs associated with the instructional needs of these students and includes the regional cost index in its analysis of funding.
So you can see the flavor of these. Many districts are receiving more and more English as new language students. We have grown in that program, but this is to get additional funds for ENL students.
Correct.
I think it's a good resolution. Thanks.
Okay, 21, resolve that NSBA shall advocate for the upward modification of the inflexible, restrictive, per pupil expenditure limits for the state universal pre-K, the UPK program, currently set at $5,400 per student, to mirror the same provisions allowable for the use of statewide universal full-day pre-K program. And right now, the statewide universal pre-K allows for $10,000 per student as long as they're taught by a certified teacher, $7,000 for an uncertified teacher. The UPK amount has been in place, I think, since 2014 at least, and it's $5,400 per pupil. So in light of all that, if it were raised to $10,000, it would fully cover all of our pre-K expenses. I
You're making
advocate
up
for
the
that.
difference right now. The school budget's making up the difference
Yeah.
because they haven't raised that formula amount. I would urge your support.
I think it's, yeah, everybody.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, 22, resolve that NISBA oppose the proposed amendments to sections 135.1, 135.4, and 135.5 of the Commissioner of Education's regulations related to mixed competition and extra-class athletic activities.
This was pulled by the Board of Regents this week or last week. I'd ask you to support it. I think we've talked a little bit online about this. This is the one that says that if, the example I'll give you in Niagara Falls is we have a girls' flag football team. We don't have a boys' flag football team. But if this were to pass and go forward, even though it's been pulled, that means our football quarterback, who is very good, could play on the girls' team. And I think that takes spots away from girls' programs.
Yeah.
So I've been an advocate all along to support NISBA's position here and not let that occur. This has nothing to do with transgender students or anything like that. This has to do with if you don't have an equal sport, that's mixed competition. If you don't have an equal sport, a boy can play on a girls' team or a girl can play on a boys' team. One student, there's a really good article today in the Buffalo News about it. One student in downstate, something happened with football, and that's what spurred this on. But they've pulled it. I would ask for your support in supporting it. Yeah. Thanks. But we've had a lot of sidebars about mixed competition. Thanks.
23, resolve that NISBA opposes efforts to establish additional school closure holidays without commensurate adjustments to the school calendar.
We would, and Maria can jump in too because she negotiated. We're running out of days here, and I'm not denigrating any religious holiday at all. Believe me, I respect all religious holidays, but we are running out of days to use. So I would ask for your support.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay. 24, resolve that NISBA, that the New York State School Boards Association, and they have that listed twice. Okay, I just noticed that, sorry. Advocates for the minimization of field testing and school district decision-making rights to refuse to participate in field testing without penalty from the New York State Education Department.
So every once in a while, I open my email up and I said, "You've been selected for field testing." These are testing questions that will be used on future state tests. And we've picked Abbott. So now all the third graders at Abbott have got to give this test, take it away from instruction. I can't say no. They have to do it. I hope you support this. I think it again protects instructional time and protects teacher time, and they've got to find a better way to test the questions.
Sure. Yep.
Thanks.
Yes.
Okay, 25, resolve that NISBA supports and upholds the mission of the Conference of Big Five School Districts, promoting more equitable and adequate funding systems and the delivery of a high-quality education to all children. Central to this mission is the belief that all children can succeed and should be afforded appropriate support and educational opportunities throughout their lives. NISBA shall promote and advocate for fiscal and programmatic priorities that are aligned with this mission.
So there are 5 Big Five schools, obviously: Buffalo, New York City, Rochester, Syracuse, and Yonkers. I think those are the five. Those are the Big Five, and they just want equal footing and funding. There's a couple ways to look at that. Everybody should be treated equally. Some would say don't because they're going to cut into our money. I don't know. It's a big pot here. I don't have any problem supporting this.
Any support?
Okay?
Thanks. We're getting there.
Yep,
9 to
26.
go. 10 to go.
Resolved that NISBA supports legislation to eliminate Regents exam testing at the high school level in favor of state final exams that comply with ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, regulations in 10th to 11th grade for ELA, math, and science.
Question.
So the federal government requires 3 tests, one science, one math, and one ELA in high school. The state is requiring 5 regents. They're going to change those with the blue ribbon panel. There would be other ways to demonstrate proficiency other than a regents exam. My personal opinion is that regents exams are an outdated way to test proficiency, but that's just my personal opinion. So I think I support this. I support this. For instance, and I'll give you a better for instance of why I support it. The federal government tells you you've got to do those 3 tests. Unless the federal government changes, that won't go away. But I'd like the flexibility for our kids to be able to demonstrate proficiency using alternate methods that are state approved if they're in the construction trades track, for instance, right? You know, that's why I support it. Give us the flexibility to do it with state approval.
Good point.
All right?
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks.
Yes.
Okay, 27, resolve that NSBA shall advocate for a cap on BOCES budget increases. They're not subject to the 2% tax cap. However, their budgets aren't voted on by the public, they're voted on by the boards.
Yeah. It's an interesting one.
Well, interesting
That's an
because
interesting
essentially they're voted on by the school districts.
Right.
The representative.
Right, so it's up to you if you think they should have a cap or not.
Depends what they're doing.
Pardon?
Depends what they're doing.
Yeah.
Why they want to go over, you know. No, they would get the aid with the growing.
Yeah, we get the aid
Yeah.
back if we grow, so
Yeah.
it's a tricky one. It's just tricky. They're not like, you are you represent a city, and 2% cap never comes into play here. You'd have to get a super majority. BOCES doesn't represent anything, you know. I mean, they represent something, but
Right,
they are
component
just a
district.
service provider to 13 districts in here. So advocate for a cap on the BOCES increases. We get the aid back on it.
Well, we just voted something earlier too, to get better.
Yeah. So I don't know, it doesn't really hurt us. It doesn't hurt us. It doesn't hurt us. I can't speak for the rest of the state.
No.
I can only speak from my experience in the district. Yeah.
Well, there isn't a cap. They're asking you to, the NSBA shall advocate for a cap. So you would disagree with this?
Yeah, I kind of,
resolution.
well, I shouldn't tell you what I think. I think there shouldn't be a cap. I don't think there should be a cap. What if we wanted something and they had I'd want the flexibility to be able to do what we had to do for our district.
So,
I would recommend your opposition to this, but it's up to you.
opposed?
I oppose it also.
Opposed.
Thanks.
Okay, 28, resolve that NSBA shall advocate for the new foundation aid formula to be voted on by the New York State Legislature and not through regulatory actions of New York State Education Department.
I don't care for this one because, we're on tape and I'll say it, we will get swallowed up by legislature downstate. We will get swallowed up there. I don't think and this is no affront to our legislators, who I happen to like personally and who have helped this district out very, very much, but you know the score in the state, and you know what happens in the state, and I don't think I have to repeat it. So I personally oppose this, but,
Agree.
okay, thanks.
Okay.
Oppose.
Yep, opposed.
Okay.
Okay, 29, resolve that NSBA advocate for the repeal of the 2019 law that removed the religious and moral exemption to immunization.
So, if you want my opinion or no, I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump in. So, this is my opinion, again. I think that I think the law should be repealed back to allowing for religious and moral exemptions. I think it's a parent's right and a parent's choice to make those decisions. And I don't think that we should be playing doctor and telling who, if you don't believe that for your child, then you don't believe it. It's your, I think it should be a parent's right. And I think that if they prove the religious and moral or whatever it says reason, I think we should honor it. I know about infection control too, because I was here for a couple of years of that C word, COVID. But I'm not against unhealthy practices, if anybody's listening. I just feel that immunizations are a parent's right. My opinion. Yep. I don't have any. I don't have data on it, yeah. I just feel that parents have responsibilities too. I'm going to talk a little bit later. We have a little bit of a shot problem, but I'll talk about it at the end of the meeting. But I would oppose this. Is that what I would do?
Oppose.
I believe it's a parent's decision.
Well, I think you would agree with this resolution.
Yeah, I'd
then.
agree.
Yes.
Nisba's
okay.
opposing it.
Yes, so you're voting yes for the resolution, then? Repealing. Right, so,
Yep.
yes.
Right.
Yes, yes, okay. 30 is resolved that NISBA shall advocate for local control of education administration to the county executive or school boards when appropriate.
This one's very hard for me to understand. I'm sorry.
It's not very clear. And they summarize by saying when appropriate, so I'm not sure.
So we're giving up our rights to the county executive?
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I would oppose. I would agree with Nisba and oppose this. I wouldn't give up your rights to anybody. I think it's all about local. I think I've said this a million times, and it's not to be patronizing to the 9 of you, but I think school boards should have that authority. You know the community best, and you know what your constituents want. And if they didn't like what they said, they could be sitting up here and coming to the microphone. I think school boards should have more control, not less. That's my opinion, and that's not to patronize you. What did you get elected for? You know?
No, you wouldn't. You could have a bad county executive and really screw things up. I mean, it could happen.
You mean
No
like
way.
Erie County?
Yeah, no way.
Okay?
Okay, so.
Are we good?
Okay, so 31, resolve that NISBA shall oppose any legislation or New York State Education Department regulation mandating comprehensive K-12 gender and sexuality education.
I will restate my last statement. I think that these decisions are best left at a local decision. I think they're best left at a local decision. Every community has a different sense. I don't know, that's just my opinion again. I'll stop saying that. I'm not against any of this. I just think that it's, if we first of all, to make this personal, our school district, I believe, does a very good job handling this. We handle exemptions, we handle opt-outs, we handle the teaching of it in a very sensitive and appropriate manner. And our record will show that we've had very few complaints and problems, not perfect, but I would really rather have school districts make those determinations based on the needs of their constituents, their community, and I'm not trying to abdicate a decision. I'm just trying to empower school boards wherever they may be and however they may feel. And again, I'm not against teaching things in the appropriate way, but I'd rather let you decide that. So
if you oppose regulation mandating this, you would vote yes for the resolution. You would support the resolution.
I'm going to take the other position. Let the state make the decision so we don't have to deal with it.
I don't like taking the power away from the local board of education.
Okay.
I'm with Mark and Tony, I'm a yes for the
Okay.
resolution. Russ is the opposite.
Right. Go ahead. Sorry? You're with it? Okay. Clara? Yeah. You're with it? Okay. Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are
Yes.
tough.
It's a yes, okay. 32, resolve that NISBA oppose any legislation or NICID regulation that would allow biological males to participate in female athletics.
So you oppose it.
I oppose it.
3,
Oppose any legislation. Regulation that would allow
So if everybody's opposed, you can say
Say-
voting yes, we agree with the resolution,
correct.
correct? So
back.
I believe that it's a yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
30.
Very good.
Yep, thank you.
33, resolve that NISBA shall oppose any legislation or NICID regulation that would mandate any recommendations from the Blue Ribbon Commission, including mandating the culturally responsive sustaining education framework.
What tax that?
I got to think here.
I know.
Oppose any legislation or regulation that would mandate any recommendations. So the Blue Ribbon Commission is working to make recommendations, and in their recommendations, they may mandate culturally responsive education. I think that's in there, isn't it, Rick? Yeah, it should be woven into everything. Thank you, Rick. That's going to be in there. Culturally responsive education. I certainly think in Niagara Falls, we've got to be sensitive to culturally responsive education here.
So this resolution opposes any mandates
Right.
arising from that Blue Ribbon Commission.
So, yay, nay?
What's NSBA say?
NISBA opposes this, don't they, Becky?
They
They
oppose
do
it?
oppose it,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I oppose also.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I oppose it also.
so you're voting yes for the resolution? Yes, right? There. Or no for the resolution?
No for resolution.
No, we're voting
No,
to,
okay.
you want NSBA, you want NSBA to oppose any regulations?
And you're voting yes on the resolution.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, yay, yay? Okay. Next.
34. 3 more, folks.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. 3 more. 34, please.
34, resolve that NISBA urges New York State Education Department to rescind the unnecessary early dismissal mandate.
Okay, it's unnecessary to have this mandate, folks. We have practiced so many drills. We know how to send kids home early. We don't need a mandate to do this.
No, we don't need it.
All right? If I don't know how to do that by now, I shouldn't be here. Okay? Do you have any problem with that?
35, resolve that NISBA supports legislation that would grant judges the ability to require bail in cases of violent threats against school districts and/or staff or students at school districts.
So we're saying the judge can require bail instead of a
Correct.
parking ticket.
Yeah, that's right.
I agree.
Yep.
I'm in.
Thank you.
Okay, 36, resolve that NISBA shall work to develop state law that requires school boards conduct at least 3 member trainings during each school year on topics determined by the board and other relevant stakeholders.
I don't think you need it. We have, every month we have training for you. Every meeting is training. I don't think you need, I think, this is my opinion, and this is not, again, blowing smoke. The best training you get is live action. I don't think you need separate training, but that's my
Yeah,
opinion.
but there's plenty different times of the year they have all kinds of
So
stuff.
we're no on the resolution?
Yeah. You can go anytime you want. We'll support you. I don't want you to be
Right, so you
mandated,
would be a no on the
okay?
So we're on the-
I didn't think so, Mrs. Dunn.
No, go ahead. That's it, right?
Thanks.
That's it.
Not bad.
Now I got one
Yeah.
more.
There are 37?
Yes, there is.
Oh, I apologize. I missed the one. Okay, resolve that NYSBA advocates for 30 to 40 minutes per day of recess time being officially recognized as an alternative form of instructional time in elementary schools and counted toward mandated minutes. Schools then can allocate adequate time for recess each day to ensure the social and emotional well-being and the whole child development of their students.
Again, I don't like being dictated that I've got to have 30 or 40 minutes. I think Rick would pull his hair out if he has any left. We need all of the instructional time that we can get for our kids, and our teachers are very adept at knowing when to say, oh, we need a break, let's take a walk. Leave it to, I'd say leave this to the professionals. That's my opinion. Right, Rick? You don't want this. This is the anti-Rick Corello legislation.
So this is a no.
So you would vote no?
No? No, no. No, no, thank you.
Becky, you did a
Now
really,
you've
really
gone
good
through.
job. Really good job.
Can we have,
Becky, you're the best, Beck. I know, 1 hour.
Every year you give Joe G a run for his money.
Joe who?
you
Joe
know
who?
what? I think we should nominate Becky to
I
attend the
agree.
meeting.
Becky can go as Clara Dunn. Becky can go, Becky, you're getting kudos over here. They're saying you could be
You
Clara
just
Dunn, the
got
board
nomi-
member.
You just got nominated to attend the meeting, Becky.
We have a voting meeting on the 25th if you support the change in date. I'd like to go through the agenda with you right now on what you're going to be voting on, explaining things as thoroughly as you need to, as we need to. So if you'd pull it up and let's get Maria ready in the bullpen. So on the 25th, we are going to have the Niagara Falls High School August graduates come before you. We've done this ceremony before. We'll have Miss Villardo introduce our graduates, the students that had the perseverance and stick-to-itiveness to graduate now in front of you. So they'll be here first on the agenda at 7 o'clock, and their families are invited to come as well. I believe there's six to eight graduates that'll come before you. They're invited to wear their caps and gowns and bring their family, and we'll celebrate them at 7 o'clock. After that, we will do the call to order and the beautiful prayer Mrs. Dunn always does. Of course, there's the public comments. The minutes, budget transfer number 2. There is a bid. There is a bid. Bid is on paint supplies. The apparent low bidder for your hopeful approval is Sherwin-Williams. I think it's a 65% discount, Becky. Is that correct? Earl? Yes, it is. 65%. They're local as well.
Oh, yeah, right down the street from my house.
66
Yeah.
on-hand stock and
No, yeah, let me clarify. On-hand stock, we get 66% off. Order stock, it's 45? Okay, Sherwin-Williams, you know the company. Yep, thanks. Maria, are you ready? Here we go, personnel reports, coming up. Coming at you. Coming to you on a dusty road. Good lovin', I've got a truckload.
I'm a soul man? Said I'm a soul man?
Thank you.
Did I get it right?
All right, thank you. I was trying to entertain while she was distributing. Hey, before we do this, I was going to do it at the end of the meeting, but I'll do it now. I want to give Maria a great big set of props. I've done 9 of 11 schools on a thorough walkthrough. Staff looks great. Staff is in place. She worked very, very hard to do this. We're fully staffed. It wasn't easy. In some places, not all, I'm going to report a good, some building-based subs in the teaching profession, which we have not had in a while. Not everywhere, but in some schools there's a cadre of subs. But Maria really did a fantastic job filling. How many hires did we make? 200? What was the number?
165 now with the ones you're going to see tonight in the certificated staff. Some of those were rehires.
Right.
About 165 people in the certificated unit. Ready?
Yep. Take
Thank
it away.
you, Mr. Laurie. I appreciate the kudos.
You deserve it. Seriously, you deserve it.
Here, thank you. Okay, so certificated staff, if you'll look on page 1 of 11, you have a resignation. Going down to the next item number, you have probationary appointment of a special education teacher at Cataract. You have some regular substitute appointments beginning on page 2 of 11. These are physical education teacher, teaching assistants, another special education teacher, school counselors are listed there. We have some tenure appointments for you this evening. Those tenure appointments are of administrators at Niagara Falls High School, LaSalle Prep, and here in central office. Then we have an involuntary transfer of a teaching assistant and a voluntary transfer of another teaching assistant. And then you'll see the additions there of the per diem and Schedule B hours. There will be some changes on the next personnel report, but by no means many with asterisks on them for next, or the 25th, excuse me. Any questions on this?
You're picking up clubs. She's now picking up paid duties, clubs.
Right.
She's gonna, Ms. Massaro will be picking up paid duties by the contract this month, next month, so that we get those to you before. But just in fairness to you, these people have started their duties, AM duty, PM duty, et cetera, et cetera. We had to do this to open school. Questions for Maria?
Okay, moving on to the class.
Where are we short, Maria?
Right now, I think we're really good, to be very honest with you,
We are very good on the instructional
on the
side.
instructional side.
I will say, where are we short? And we're short with school nurses.
Still nurses.
Yeah,
school
on the-
nurses.
On the instructional side.
We have
Still
enough
school nurses.
psychologists?
We have
We have
psychologists.
psychologists. We got three.
We could use an art and a music teacher.
We could use one art and music teacher.
Yeah, we could, but we have staff in those positions right now, but we could use.
We really could use one art, one music. We are, if you really want to know, we're desperately short, and I'm going to speak to you down the line about school nurses. We have to do something with school nurses. We cannot find school nurses. And again, I don't want to air this all out here because it's under a contract, but I am going to come to you with a proposal regarding school nurses. We are in desperate need of them, and we are in top competition with hospitals.
Hospitals, nursing homes.
Nursing homes and hospitals, we're having a very hard time competing with nursing home and hospitals for nurses. So to your question, Mr. Katsemi, if we're piecing something together daily, it's nursing. And not to take this too far, and we have more children than ever who require specialized nursing services. And I'm so honored that we have 15 children who need a nurse on the school bus. So do we have 2 or 1?
We had 2. Yeah.
We have 2 nurses riding school buses. I mean, that's the degree of need for nurses. The world has really changed with respect to health needs, and thank you for asking the question and opening up a door that I'm going to be talking to you about at some point in executive session with respect to nurses, because we're struggling in that area mightily. Thanks, Jimmy, for the question. Sorry to go off on a diatribe.
No, it's okay.
But I wanted you to know that. We could use, right now, if you could find 3 or 4 school nurses, it would be super helpful.
Right.
Super helpful. Sorry, Maria.
No, thank you. So now on to the classified staff. We have a retirement of a secretary, and we also have a retirement, but this is in July, of a classroom associate. A couple of resignations and no terminations, which are nice. Probationary appointments of associates and some Head Start staff. We did some Head Start staffing toward the end of the summer, so you're seeing those listed here in our classified staff report to you today. We have some temporary appointments for associates in different locations, involuntary transfers beginning on page 5, and voluntary transfers. This group has their own additional hours as well. In the month of October, just to give you a preview, we have to reappoint all of our associates annually. We have been continuing to staff through the month of September, which is why we didn't reappoint everyone in the month of September. So in the month of October, you will see all of the staff for the associates. Any questions about the classified staff? Thank you.
Maria, really good job. Listen, board members, you have 2 weeks. or 13 days. Any questions? Call Maria. You don't call her directly, call me. Any questions on anything you read? You're not voting on these this evening, okay? Thank you, thank you. Moving ahead, we have our regular reports. We have 8 listed short-term contracts. With the help of my friends, we'll go through this. Bounce USA is a student celebration. It's a health fair for our Black Excellence Group. They're having a health fair on October 15th. Jeffrey Warren is going into his second year of virtual counseling for a Gaskill. Fight Night Boxing. You know we do boxing with our high school and Gaskill students. And our high school and Gaskill students go to Fight Night, which is on Hyde Park Boulevard, across from that Wilson Farms. This is the 3rd year we've been teaching boxing. It's been going really great. This is the Iron Workers. Because we need to get more kids OSHA cards. This is OSHA 10 cards. We have little side note here. We have a lot of kids willing and ready to build that gazebo at Hyde Park and do more construction work. We have to get them OSHA cards. So the Iron Workers are going to certify the kids. Ann Kent is a teacher center. 8, 6, and 7 is payment to Niagara University for classes. These are for our early college students to go to Niagara University. The Hope Club is no cost to you. Bishop Jesse Scott has taken over Denny's Kitchen, and we have an agreement to have our bond students go to work with Bishop Scott, who we appreciate. There are two additional ones we're going to add before you vote. One is for curriculum associates. Rick is going to add this. This is for a reading intervention for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And then the Black Excellence Group on their Black Excellence celebration is going to do line dancing. So that's a $700 cost for line dancing. And that is paid for out of My Brother's Keeper grant. So remember, and I don't mean to be lecturing, anytime you see the letter F, it's not the general fund budget. It is out of a grant. And as you can see, most of these are coming out of grants. Moving ahead, you have to appoint on 501, unless you appoint Becky, you've got to appoint a delegate to vote on the 10th. If I'm going too fast, please stop me. Judy is forward thinking. She's a linguist and a Bills fan. She looked at your board meetings in June and noticed that we have a board meeting scheduled for Juneteenth. And we certainly don't want to meet on Juneteenth. I'm recommending that we not meet on Juneteenth or on graduation night. We can't meet that night. So the number 1 and 2 are to change the June meeting dates to the first 2 Thursdays of the month. 603 is to accept funds for mentor teachers, $51,240. That's to accept a grant. And 604 is to accept the 21st Century Grant for $826,702. I would hope that you'd support taking money in from grants. 605 is we continue to work with the Niagara Alliance of Restorative Practices to do staff development in restorative justice as an alternative to suspensions where appropriate. This is for training in those areas. Pastor Makita Brooks is working in our mental health supports grant. 606 is paid for by a mental health supports grant. She is a trained social worker. She is doing girls groups at LaSalle and Bleneva Bond.
Mr. Laurie?
Yep.
Can we go back to 604 or 603?
Sure.
The grants, what are they for specifically?
Yeah, sure. 603 is for a mentor-teacher program. So we have 3 years, Maria. In your first 3 years as a teacher, you have a mentor with you. And this provides payment. Say Tony was going to be my mentor. This would provide payment for Tony after hours to mentor me and talk about what I'm doing well and how I need improvement, so on and so forth. So it's a grant that pays for the mentor to the new teacher.
It's a Century Grant, I guess.
Pardon me?
I'm asking more about the Century Grant, the community learning.
Oh, the Century one, Rick, and I think this is for the middle schools. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
This is for any extended day programming for Gaskill or LaSalle.
And summer program.
And summer. Anything beyond the regular school day for Gaskill or LaSalle to keep middle school kids engaged in activities or in the summer, we can pay for it out of this grant.
800,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, Jim. That's a lot of money. Rick has got a lot of work to do to spend it, but they'll spend it on kids.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's a great grant. I'm going to go down. I talked about Makita Brooks. 608 is this is also paid for by a grant. I want to make the difference so you know, because I spoke to, as a matter of fact, Mr. Bilson and I had this conversation this week. You know, you had a $6.5 million budget gap, and we've really had to cut back a lot. So a lot of programs that we had to find grant money to do them, or we couldn't do them. But 716 United is a program run by a graduate named Sanquin Starks. He is doing a phenomenal job with boys and girls, mainly through basketball, but he does other things. So through our mental health support grants, we're able to pay the Boys and Girls Club, who Mr. Starks works for, in order to get his services with kids. So this money is really going to the Boys and Girls Club for Sanquin's program, and the money isn't coming from your general fund budget, it's coming out of the mental health supports grant. 609 is an agreement for literacy programming for LaSalle, Gaskill, Niagara Falls High School. It is being paid for out of the 21st Century Grant because we mentioned the middle schools. It is for multicultural teaching for our ENL students. You know, we have a number of ENL students at LaSalle and Gaskill, and this is to help with multicultural teaching. And again, the grant we referenced, Mr. Consemi, is paying for this service from Niagara University. 610 is also being paid for by a grant. And again, for the reason I just mentioned, I'm being very didactic about where the money's coming from. This also comes from a grant. It's called the Early College Grant, and this allows students from Niagara Falls High School who are interested to go to Niagara University or take the Niagara University class, get 3 credit hours that we pay for through this grant in esports, gaming, and things like that. Pardon me? Do you want to join the class? 611. 611 is for also paid for by a grant. It is for yoga, teaching yoga in our schools. 612 is for Marcia McWilson. We've worked with her. In case you don't know, she sent me her picture. So we have her picture here, just so you know. Anybody wants to know? And there are CDs available after the meeting. Now, you know I love Marcia. She works in our elementary schools. 613 is our official resolution to adopt Say Yes Niagara Falls. We are into Say Yes. Really got a lot of great feedback on an NPR radio interview we did. Say Yes is coming. It's here. We're planning this year. There'll be some big announcements throughout the year. Remember, the 4 pillars of Say Yes are Boys and Men of Color, Saturday Academies, more apprenticeships, and of course, Last Dollar Scholarship. And that's game-changing for Niagara Falls, right? Last Dollar Scholarships. At some point, we'll start to announce some of the awards that we've already received for Last Dollar Scholarship. But we are the first expansion site for Say Yes Buffalo, and they're coming to Say Yes Niagara Falls. And this is huge, huge, huge deal. 614 through 619 are payments to contractors who have done work over the past couple of months on our capital projects. Scrafari, MKS is plumbing, it's a very small contract. Danforth has done a ton of work, particularly at Gaskill and LaSalle, and they're moving very, very well to install that air conditioning. So there's 2 large payments to John W. Danforth. All of these payrolls have been reviewed by Earl, Richard, Becky, the team, so that the work equates with the payment. Fry Electric, I have to say, I'm very pleased with the work of Fry Electric. It's the first time we've used this company, and they have been very, very good. Johnson Controls, as well as Stark Technology. When you get to 621 and you go to 626, these are 5 change orders. There are 5 change orders that we're asking to be approved. Today, Mr. Petrozzi and the team went through them. On the 25th, before you vote on them, we will show you pictures of the 5 change orders so you can see what you're voting on. We agreed, and I think, Russ, I don't want to speak for you, but you felt they were all appropriate. But I'd like to go through them because change order in Niagara Falls is a bad word. We don't accept change orders, but I'm going to give you some statistics in a moment. The first one is 621. It's for a change order for $6,895. This is an unforeseen change. It was mandated by the DEC in the greenhouse area. Earl?
That is correct. So they mandated us to do this to make sure that there are no volatile organic vapors that come up from the soil and potentially come into the teaching space.
Oh, thank you, Earl. If you have a question, stop us.
How much money?
$6,895.
600,000.
I'm sorry, $6,895.
Oh.
The next one is an owner's request of a change order. So sometimes that one, the DEC made us do it, it was unforeseen. This next one is something that we requested and we missed it, the district missed it, I missed it. This is a $22,000 change order, again at the greenhouse, to make it ADA compliant, to put an ADA ramp into the greenhouse. It wasn't required under the building code, but we felt that it was a proper and good thing to do. Earl?
That's correct. So this gives us egress directly from the greenhouse itself to the exterior of the building that is ADA compliant. All that was there prior to this was a set of stairs. While the space would have been technically ADA compliant, that compliance was found through the building. This way, for the summer use that Mr. Marino is planning for community groups for the greenhouse, it will be compliant from the exterior of the building.
We have money in the contingency to do this, and we think it's only right and proper for that beautiful greenhouse. 623 is, I believe, the final owner's request. This is something we requested. Actually, I think Earl did. It's $9,654, again for the greenhouse, manual to auto side vents. Earl, can you talk about that?
That's correct. So many of you may be familiar with a greenhouse, or as they were once called, a hothouse. These vents will be able to be opened so that we get more air circulation without mechanical cooling to try to keep the space more comfortable, because we have to remember it's not just a hothouse, it is actually going to be a teaching space for children and staff.
So we requested that. Now, the next 3 I'm going to read to you were architect and engineer misses. And I'm going to read you a statistic because we track how much money did the owners request, what was unforeseen, and what did the architect and engineer miss. And I'm not trying to besmirch the architect and engineer, but we want to hold people's feet to the fire. And the first one was for abatement. This is for Scrifari abatement in room 115 at Gaskill. It's an $11,000 change order. Earl?
Okay, so while none of the asbestos insulation was friable, meaning it was encapsulated in good stead, what we have done and what you have done as a board is to steadily remove asbestos from the areas where it could contact students and staff. This was a remaining header line of insulation that was there, that was found, and we thought it would be in best measure to have it removed. And as you know, asbestos abatement does not come cheap, but it's the last of it in a teaching space at Gaskill. My apologies.
The next one, again, is an architectural miss. It's at Gaskill. It's basement ductwork for $12,278. Earl?
So there was ductwork that was, how shall we say, in a crawl space, difficult to find, that needed to be connected properly. The old school method was, no pun intended, that it was just connected through a chaseway. This is going to be a sleeved duct going from the 4th floor. You may be familiar at Gaskill. It's about 6 classrooms on the 4th floor, down to the basement and ultimately to the new air handler unit. So it's basically almost a 6-story drop.
And the final change order is for Cataract. We put a new boiler. We put a new boiler system, and there was piping missed. And quite a great deal of piping was missed on the architectural design. This is from our partners at Greater Niagara, who I have to say, a local company, I believe Town of Niagara, doing a really solid job and did a really great job. But there was some piping misses at Cataract, Earl.
Yes, in defense of Greater Niagara, who has done amazing work for us on numerous fronts, this was something that they built it as it was drawn, okay? And how it was built, or how it was drawn, wasn't correct for the boilers that were going to be put in. So ultimately, a header, or if you would, more of a manifold between the boilers was not correct in the way it was drawn. They proposed the design as well as the boiler vendor to Greater Niagara to redesign it in the manner, and it was also part of this change order, some isolation valves, because the entire Cataract Elementary School's original construction had no isolation valves in the entire building. So anytime you need to do a glycol or leak or piping repair, you have to drain the entire building. Now we can at least isolate the boiler plant.
Yeah, that was a miss from the architect, and I will have to, again, not to disparage the architect has stepped up and is contributing to the payment of this change order. So I want to recognize them for doing that. We had much negotiation. I felt it was quite a sizable miss, and they did step up to pitch in their part of the change order. Well, all I'd like to tell you is on the $29.3 million capital project that is currently going on, with those, if you approve those payments in 2 weeks, we will have paid $15,700,000 to our contractors, or 55% of the project. So far to date, on change orders, you have spent $53,500. That's a pretty small percentage, $53,500 out of $15 million. So it's not a bad percentage of misses. Now, I don't, I just, I'm going to be upfront and honest about all of them. We don't want any change orders. We've preached that. But I'm keeping a running total of how many dollars in our contingency, which we don't have a big amount, but $53,500 over the course of $15,740 is a pretty good record. And we're 55% of the project done. So with your approval in 2 weeks, that's where we'll be at. Mr. President, members of the board, that's all we have. We have, of course, we have a quick vote right now if you're ready, and then I have 7 or 8 closing comments, and I have nothing else for this evening.
5 minutes to start. Deal. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we'll have a prayer by Mrs. Dunn, please.
Okay, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Bless our staff and every student who attend our schools. Protect them from the evil eyes of the enemies each and every day. For we know that you are God Almighty and can do anything without fail. Thank you for your love. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thanks, Clara. Judy, would you call the roll, please?
I'm showing Mr. Bass excused.
It's correct.
Mr. Bilson?
Here.
Mr. Kinsemi? I'm showing Mr. Capizzi excused.
Correct.
Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Pareto?
Yes.
I'm showing Mr. Velardo excused.
Correct.
Mr. Petrosi?
Here.
6 present.
Okay, one simple thing. We are here, 3.01, to approve the special meeting September 25th, 2025 of the Board of Education. Motion, please. Tony, second. Rob, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion for adjournment, please.
Mr. President, can I make a few comments, please? I promise I will be short. I promise.
3 minutes.
Oh, I will do my best. First of all, I want to congratulate Coach Don Bass of the Niagara Falls Wolverines. Coach Bass was selected by the Buffalo Bills as the Coach of the Week. So congratulations, Coach Bass, for his upset win against West Seneca, and good luck this weekend against Orchard Park. I want to Miss Manella, our principal at Cataract, is here. Yeah, you're here. I want to congratulate you. I'll tell you what. A beautiful article was written in the Niagara Gazette this morning about Miss Manella, and it was really nice. And I will tell you, it's deserved. It's true. The article talked about, in my terms, customer service for little people, and it talked about the energy of an individual. If you read the article, and it's perfectly summed up Cataract under Miss Manella's direction. It's a welcoming environment, and they referred to somebody who is bounding with energy, and that's her. So congratulations on a beautiful article. Thank you for representing our school district. There was a comment in there about the traffic on Girard Avenue, which is not good. So today, we had myself, Miss Manella, of course, many members of her staff, Mr. Del Porto, and she is putting in place some significant changes to the traffic pattern on Girard, blocking off an area, putting signage up. Earl's going to assist with some painting, and we are on it because, rightly so, it was pointed out, it could have been an accident. So I appreciate the call. It was overdue. We needed to improve the traffic, but we also needed to congratulate Cataract. So congratulations on a well-deserved article. Remember, we have busy lives, and I don't want it to ever come and go, but this week we celebrated a tragedy of 9/11. Again, I'd like to extend our thoughts, and I hope and trusted that the schools talked about the significance of 9/11, where there can't be any of our students who were born during that time. Can you believe that? Not one of our students was born during that time. It's kind of surreal to think that. But I asked the teachers to talk about that in an age-appropriate way. So I say that to just remember those tragic victims. Russ never seems to amaze me. He's got a guy for everything. You know that commercial, he's got a guy. He brought a gentleman to us that we're going to begin to pursue. You know our Family Support Center, which is out of Bond School. It's wonderful. Food, clothing. We've heard from Stacy Rowe. Food, everything. You know everything. It's a full-service place. We're now going to engage in a community project to build beds, because sadly, I report to you, one of the major requests from our families is to have a bed. I can't believe I'm saying that in 2024 in the United States of America. We have many families who are sleeping on pads and other unsuitable conditions. So Russ knew a guy, and much like those programs that do different things as they rotate around the country, we're going to take a visit to the Buffalo chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace. There's a Buffalo chapter at the Eastern Hills Mall, and we are going to move to bring a chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace to Niagara Falls, to build beds for our children and do it out of our Family Support Center at Bond. So if you need anything, call Russ. Hey, do you still do clothing, shirts and things too? I don't know if you do that. They don't do that anymore.
Office is really clean.
Yeah. Finally, I just wanted to say this. It's hard to compare, but we're 6 days into the school year. I am really, really, really pleased with the start of the school year. Nothing's perfect. I acknowledge that we have transportation issues. They seem to be fewer, but boy, the school year has started off in a really good foot, From Niagara Falls High School, our big epicenter here of the district, that is really, and it's really, really off to a fabulous start. I know it seems a little tight right now for the kids, but we're just trying to set all the rituals and routines. They've done a good job with cell phones, a really good job with cell phones. To Gaskill and LaSalle that have been running like tops, to all of our elementary schools. I've been to thoroughly 8 of the 11. I will hit the last 2 tomorrow and Monday and then continue the cycle. I drove away from Abbott today feeling like, wow, 5 days in, you have to go in there and see it. The first day is the first day. You got to go in there on day 5, day 18, day 29, day 6. I just had such a good feeling, and then went to Maple, and of course that was good. The buildings look good. The staff is in place. The curriculum is being imparted. The kids are behaving, and it's wonderful to see. Our security and safety is in place. Some of these vestibules, I know they're, especially this one out here, is starting to drive me crazy, but I just love the way the new double vestibule looks at Abbott. It's really sharp and really first class. So I'm not being Pollyanna. I'm really, really encouraged that this is the start of one of our best years ever. And just a really nice feel. So please go and see our buildings. Please go and see our kids. A nice feel. Now, we'll have our bumps and our low spots. It happens. We're in a human business. It happens. We'll deal with it. But we're in a really nice place. It's always good to start in a good place, as opposed to climbing uphill from a hole that you might be in. So as board members and as community, I am, again, we're not perfect, but the 6-day start is something that I'm proud of. You should be proud of. That group of people, the principals, the teachers, should be proud of. The support staff, the maintenance staff, the nurses. God love our nurses. They're working really, really hard. So, and I don't mean to not forget anybody, but I just wanted to share that with you. I know I'm droning on a little bit, but it's a really nice feeling, So thank you very much, Mr. President, members of the board. I have nothing else this evening. We'll be back on a Wednesday, very atypical of Niagara Falls, a Wednesday. And thank you for moving that. We have a great community partner in Mr. Gary Hall, who's a great partner. He owns the Ralph Wilson Center, and we want to be able to celebrate with him. And of course, I started the meeting, and I celebrate at the end of the meeting in Bobby D's name, because a lot of the stuff that we're doing now started way back when Bobby D was involved. So thank you very much, Mr. President, members of the board. I have nothing else.
Thanks, Mark. Any comments? Okay. Motion for adjournment, please. Jimmy?
Second.
Second, Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? And good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Go Bills.
Yeah, that's right.
Good night.